What up, what up, what up? It's your boy, Surf Boy, and I'm coming to you guys today with another banger, man. Before this video start, make sure y'all hit that like button, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, and make sure y'all hit that notification bell, man. Join notification life. And in this video, man, I got a special video, man. We will be reacting to geography, now Mexico, man. Y'all already know your boy Surf Boy. We finna get straight to it, man. Like I said, before this video start, hit that like button. Hit that like button before I hit that play button. That like button helps me in the algorithm. Let's break the algorithm today, man. Y'all already know we about to react to geography, now Mexico, man. Let's get straight to it.
Finalmente hemos llegado al episodio de México, pero no puedo.
Hit that like button right now. Hit it right now before this video even start, man. Hit that like button. Let's get it.
Hacer esto sin un mexicano de verdad. Denle la bienvenida a mi amigo César de Puerto Vallarta.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos.
César, si tuvieras que decir una cosa de México para abrir este episodio, ¿cuál sería?
Pues México es un país místico, colorido, lleno de cultura y tradiciones. México va mucho más allá que el mariachi y el tequila solamente. Pronto les contaremos.
Bueno. Oh, yeah, and he speaks English too.
Oh, yeah, I went to college in Texas, so a little bit.
It's time to learn geography.
Before the video start, tell me what country you live in, what state you live in, or if you live in America, tell me how you feel about this politics going on right now. Tell me what y'all think about to happen next. Let's get straight to the video. We on our way to Mexico.
Hey everyone, I'm your host Barbs.
And I'm Cesar.
As you know, I'm American, Cesar's Mexican. We're neighbors. I'm excited. You excited?
Yes, I'm very excited for this episode. You know, I've been following geography now since like the BC countries. So this is something I've been waiting for a long time now.
Oh, by the way, we stopped doing sponsored brands on country episodes, but this time we'll break that rule because Cesar can hook you up in Puerto Vallarta. Cesar, tell them what they need to know.
Yes, well, visit discoverpvr.com. Check it out. Tours, transportation, transfers, everything you need.
And Geography Now endorses them. All right, comenzamos.
Sí, bienvenidos a México. Named after the Mexica people from ancient Aztec times, Mexico is a powerhouse on the world stage.
And it's hard to imagine how the entire Latin world, let alone the Western Hemisphere, would operate without it. First of all, Mexico is located on the southern part of the North American continent, straddling the Pacific Ocean, Gulf of California, and the Gulf of Mexico, bordered by the US to the north and Guatemala and Belize to the south.
I got a question. Why do you think America didn't want nothing in Mexico? Why ain't Mexico part of America if they're both connected? You feel? Because if you look at the U.S. is right here. Only thing that's disconnecting the U.S. and Mexico is this line right here. If you look at it, they're both connected. The U.S. and Mexico is both connected. So did they just split this piece of land and call it Mexico? Why ain't the USA and Mexico the same country? You know what I'm saying? In the comment section, tell me that.
Southeast.
The country is divided into 32 federal entities, 31 states, one of which is called Mexico, and the capital city of Mexico City. Oh, and Mexico City is technically sinking about 10 to 20 centimeters a year because it was built on a lake.
Anyway,
Wow.
with a greater metropolitan
crazy.
population over 21
Mexico was
million,
built
Mexico City is
on
the largest
top
city
of
and
a
oldest
lake.
capital city in the entire Western Hemisphere, and in itself has about the same GDP and economy as the entire country of Peru.
After Mexico City, though, the next largest cities are Guadalajara in Jalisco and Monterrey in Nuevo León. And if you come here, you will most likely fly to one of the busiest airports.
The capital's Mexico City International, then the second place is actually Cancun, then Guadalajara and Monterrey Internationals. Yeah, we Americans love Cancun and we love going there all the time.
And we do too. Just clean up your vomit next time, okay?
No promises. Today, Mexico has no
love
territorial
Cancun.
disputes. They did once with France over Clipperton Island, but that got settled. Otherwise, the border with the US, yeah, we know what you're thinking, but hear me out. It actually does have some quirky anomalies.
For example, on the border with Tijuana, there's a friendship park where you can chat and shake hands with locals of both sides through a fence that goes all the way into the Pacific.
Further east in
Wow,
California,
that's
two
crazy.
towns split by the border kind of trolled each other. One named itself Mexicali and the other side Calexico.
And in Naco, Arizona, the local residents have a cross-border volleyball game every so often.
No, we don't want to sugarcoat everything.
That's crazy. I ain't know they had cross-border volleyball. That's sweet. I didn't know that.
Tijuana, there's a friendship park where you can chat and shake hands with locals of both sides through a fence that goes all the way into the Pacific.
Further east in
Wow.
California, two towns split by the border kind of trolled each other. One named itself Mexicali and the other side Calexico.
And in Naco, Arizona, the local residents have a cross-border volleyball game every so often.
No, we don't want to sugarcoat everything. Yes, there are certain sections that are more barricaded and strict on the crossings, but besides the complicated nature behind these issues, there's a lot more to it than most media outlets portray. Speaking of territorial anomalies,
In the southernmost state of Mexico, Chiapas has some interesting towns that operate under a system called usos y costumbres, which means something like autonomous customary law. The people, mostly of indigenous descent, govern their own internal affairs, and the government just kind of lets them do their own thing without interference. It sounds kind of scary,
Wow.
but today it's actually kind of a dark fascination that has drawn in a ton of tourists.
and finally, let's just get it over with. Just like how we discussed in the Italy episode, everybody knows about it, it's nothing new. To a varying degree of power and disputable boundaries, yes, certain areas of Mexico do still kind of fall under cartel influence. It's a very strange system run by underground individuals that kind of meshes itself into normalcy with everyday citizens.
There are syndicates like the Cartel of Sinaloa in the northwest, the Zetas in the northeast, the Familia Michoacana in the center of the country, and the Jalisco Nueva Generación in the west.
Caesar, I'll let you explain this.
Today, it's very hard to estimate how many people are still involved and how much money is coming out, since numbers are always changing, especially after
Right.
the war was declared on the cartels by the government in 2006 by President Calderon. But for what it's worth,
Wow,
the
it's
situation is
crazy.
still being dealt with today. Most Mexicans can agree that this operation largely failed. A large portion of the violence in Mexico is still caused by disputes between cartels for territory.
Thank you, Caesar. Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way because now we can lighten up a bit and talk about the almost infinite number of beautiful, notable spots Mexico has to offer. Some cool man-made landmarks might include places like
The Basilica de Guadalupe in Mexico City,
UNAM, the oldest university in North America,
the Castle of Chapultepec,
the catacombs at Templo Expiatorio,
Biblioteca Vasconcelos,
the tunnels of Puebla,
the Plaza de Toros México,
the
Wow.
bronze sculptures of Puerto Vallarta, and if
That
you're in
looks
for some
beautiful.
creepy stuff,
the Casa de los Lamentos in Guanajuato,
Torture Museum of Hacienda del Cochero,
the Mummy Museum in Guanajuato,
that
Torture museum. They got a torture museum?
in North America,
the Castle of
the
Chapultepec,
catacombs at Templo Expiatorio,
Biblioteca Vasconcelos,
the tunnels of Puebla,
the Plaza de Toros México,
the bronze sculptures of Puerto Vallarta, and if you're in for some creepy stuff,
the Casa de los Lamentos in Guanajuato,
Torture Museum of Hacienda del Cochero,
the Mummy Museum in Guanajuato,
that creepy doll island of Las Muñecas,
and every so often you might come across a Malverde altar. He's the patron saint of drug cartels.
they have a patron saint for drug cartels.
Wow. Wow. So this is what all the drug
Saint of
cartels.
drug cartels.
They have a patron saint for
This is the statue that all of the drug cartels look up to. Him. Every criminal got the slit between a mustache on life.
drug cartels. But best for last, there are hundreds of Mesoamerican pyramids and sites. Some are possibly yet to be discovered, hidden in the jungles, but the most famous ones probably being
Cholula, which is the largest monument ever constructed according to the Guinness World Records.
Monte Alban,
Teotihuacan, the Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon.
and one of the new 7 wonders of the world, the Mayan Pyramid of Chichen Itza. Keep in mind, we said man-made. I know a pyramid of Chichen Itza.
Yo, that pyramid is so big, man. That pyramid is humongous. That pyramid is humongous.
Keep in mind, we said man-made. I know a lot of you might be wondering, why didn't they talk about all the cool natural sites like the cenotes, cenotes, or the
looks
volcanoes and
beautiful.
canyons? Well, that's because that stuff will belong in the next section, the... Mexico's land is kind of like a piñata, colorful and full of surprises.
Dude, a piñata? You really rushed this part of the script, didn't you?
Yes, I did. First of all, the country is located on the west edge where the North American plate meets the Pacific plate, making them part of the larger Ring of Fire.
The country is made up of 3 main mountain chains. The Sierra Madre Occidental, which has the largest lake, the Lake of Chapala in Jalisco. The
Is
Sierra
that the largest lake in the world?
Sierra Madre Oriental, which has the highest mountain peak, or Pico de Orizaba, and Sierra Madre del Sur, which effectively surrounds the large Mexican plateau in the middle.
A narrow flat valley lies between the Chiapas Mountains, which then swings up to the flat, humid Yucatan to the southeast. Oh yeah, and don't forget the arid Baja Peninsula to the west.
At the bottom of the plateau lies the Trans-Mexican Volcanic Belt, where most of the seismic and volcanic activity lies. The country has about 44 volcanoes. The most violent one is considered to be the Popocatépetl, which is less than 70 kilometers away from Ciudad de Mexico. There's also the world's smallest volcano, Cuexcomate, in Puebla, at only 13 meters tall.
Aw, what a cute little force of destruction.
Oh, that's nothing. A volcano once randomly erupted out of a dude's farm in 1943 in Michoacan. It grew over 1,000 feet tall.
Whoa! The Rio Grande River, which makes part of the border shared with Texas, is the country's longest river. However, the longest non-shared river completely in Mexico would be the Nazas Aguanabal.
Along the coast are flatter green plains.
Basically, the north part is rockier and drier with landmarks like the Barrancas del Cobre Canyon and the Sonoma Desert with the massive crater-pocketed Tecolote lava fields, whereas the south part is humid and lush.
That desert is so hot, man. The desert is so hot, you could tell. Any desert that got volcanoes in it is hot.
With biosphere reserves and rainforests harboring thousands of animal species.
Speaking of which, Mexico ranks as the fourth most biodiverse country in the planet. 10 to 12% of the world's biodiversity.
Oh, and bugs! There's a monarch butterfly sanctuary at Pátzcuaro.
And the firefly forest in Tlaxcala, as well as the national animal, the golden eagle, and the most iconic dog breed, the Chihuahua, the smallest dog in the world, and the nearly hairless Choloscuincle, or Cholo dog.
Remember we saw those dogs when I visited you, Caesar, and then yeah, that was like my second favorite part of the whole trip.
And what was your first favorite part?
The part where you introduced Esclava to me, and then remember I got a little tipsy, and then we played poker, and then I won, and then I almost fell down and... It's funny though, because Mexico also has a ton of like secret hidden natural land formations. There's that strange 153 kilometer long underground river in the Yucatan.
The Sótano de las Golondrinas in San Luis Potosí, which is the largest cave shaft in the world.
The giant crystals in the caves of Naica.
There's even the Islas Marietas, which has a hidden beach inside a hole in the island.
You almost brought me there, but we couldn't go in.
Yeah, unfortunately the weather conditions didn't permit it, but still, visit discoverpbr.com.
Yeah, I'll come back and visit someday.
Wait, can I come?
Yeah, sure. Catch.
What are these, goggles?
Yeah, you can swim there from Long Beach.
Resource-wise, Mexico is the world's largest producer of avocados, silver.
They introduced tons of new foods that would make their way across the globe, namely the big four: corn, chiles, chocolate, and tomatoes.
We would not have pizza if it wasn't for Mexico. Let that sink in.
Oh, and dear Mexico, thank you for inventing tajin and chamoy. My life was empty before this discovery.
Food-wise, there's too much to cover, but generally speaking, there are 7 regions of cuisine. In the Yucatan Peninsula, they love the anato seeds. They have Mayan dishes like pokchuk. In the south, the tlayudas are very popular, and the chapulines.
Remember, Ken, we tried those and they were good, right?
I'm sorry, what?
You're fired. Anyway.
In the Baja California, there are plenty of fish dishes and other seafood. The Bajío is very popular for their guacamayas. In the north, they love cabrito, is very popular in Monterrey, and they also have a big Tex-Mex influence. In the west, we eat pozole, birria, and we also invented tequila. In the center of Mexico, there's a lot of tortas, mole, and chile poblano. Economy-wise, Mexico is the 15th largest in the world in nominal terms, and 11th by purchasing power.
That.
And they are busy. The World Trade Organization and OECD has ranked Mexico as the hardest working country in the world. On average, they work over 43 hours a week.
That's it? Dude, that actually seems pretty low, to be honest.
Main exports of the country include things like automobiles, electronics. They are the largest flat screen television exporter in the world as of 2017.
Wow.
We covered a lot. Okay, I think that's most of it. Landscape, animals, resources.
Mexico bringing in them flash screens
Should we
like this
talk
one
about
I got
Mexican
right
people
here.
now?
Yeah, why not? Next section, go.
You know, it's kind of complicated because there's 3 different kinds of titles for Mexican. First of all, you have the Mexicano, which means it's a person from Mexico. The Mexiquense is a person from the state of Mexico. And the Mexiqueño, or as we call them, Chilangos, is a person from the capital, Mexico City.
So yeah, take note on that. First of all, the country is made up of about 124 million people and is the largest Spanish-speaking country and largest economy in the Latin world. It's a little difficult to get exact numbers because there are a lot of opinions on race in Mexico, and the the official census does not technically collect data on ethnicity, but overall, it is said that somewhere around 2/3 of the country identifies as Mexican mestizo, about 21% identify as predominantly Amerindian, whereas 7% identify as straight up Amerindian. The remainder is made up of other groups, mostly white European Mexicans, while a small group of Asians like Lebanese, Chinese, Japanese, and Koreans exist, alongside Afro-Mexicans, which make up about 1.2% of the population.
So what's that?
We use the Mexican
Afro-Mexican
peso as our currency, and we use type A and B American-style plug outlets, and we drive on the right side of the road. All the country speaks Spanish. However, technically, it isn't an official language. The country recognizes 68 other indigenous languages.
These tribes each have their own unique story and history that goes back thousands of years before colonialism, as depicted by petroglyphs, codexes, and Mesoamerican carvings.
They had unique traits and traditions. The Aztecs were known for having a thriving economy, yet had brutal human sacrifice rituals.
The Mayans
Wow.
were really good at math
That's
and had a
crazy.
unique system of seeing time in an endless cycle pattern rather than linear. And today, tribes still go on carrying ancient traditions, everything from the Raramuri or Tarahumara, known as the running tribe, who can go over 200 miles in 2 days with sandals.
The Voladores de
What?
Papantla, upside down
That's
hanging,
crazy.
spinning musicians of various central tribes like the Otomis. There's even indigenous
still tribes
festivals
down
held
there.
every year in Oaxaca called Guelaguetza.
At around 82%, the majority of the country identifies as belonging to the Catholic faith, and Catholicism plays a huge and slightly interesting fusion role in Mexican society.
Catholicism in Mexico is unique because it has kind of its own story. Every Mexican knows about the Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe church. It all started by a vision of the Virgin Mary from this guy.
Today, native tradition and Catholicism kind of go hand in hand in Mexico. The biggest example probably being the Day of the Dead or the Dia de los Muertos. No other Catholic community does this besides Mexicans. Many scholars claim to trace the ofrenda and dead ancestor honoring tradition to the Aztec festival dedicated to the goddess of the underworld, Mictecacihuatl, and stuff like that. You see a lot of holy water and crosses, but there's always like a touch of that, like, pre-colonial Mexican magic added in there, right, Caesar?
It is, it's exactly right. Sport-wise, soccer
Or football.
is of course widely popular. However, not in every region, and many sports are uniquely iconic to Mexico, such as the charreria, which is a kind of like a rodeo, and of course we have the lucha libre. In fact, Mexico has 150 pre-Hispanic
wrestling.
games, some still
That's crazy. That's wrestling.
played today, each with the risk of dying from, such as the pelota purepecha, which is like a
What?
fire hockey played at night, or pok-tapok, the 4-kilogram heavy rubber ball thing that you have to hit with your hips and put it
What?
through a stone hoop.
Can you imagine hitting anything on
That's
your body with
crazy.
a 4-kilogram solid rubber ball? It's like, whoa, I can't believe you guys do that. Mexican history extends millennia prior to any colony, and it would take forever to cover it all, but in the quickest way we can condense it. Olmecas.
Teotihuacan, Toltecas, and Mexicas. The Mayans in the Yucatan Peninsula.
The Spanish arrive, you can kind of guess where that went.
Colonization, having the Spanish in Mexico for 300 years.
The people all start mixing, mestizos are born,
Independence in 1810, led by this guy.
empire led by this Austrian prince
Wow.
guy, he gets
This is
killed.
crazy.
French
I
tried
didn't know
to
this
invade. Yeah, that didn't work out.
I didn't know about Mexico like this until I watched this video. Like, I know a lot about Mexico now.
Benito Juarez, good president.
Porfirio Diaz, good president at the beginning, but eventually became a dictator.
Civil War, although Mexicans usually call it the Mexican Revolution.
Lázaro Cárdenas, the PRI lost for the first time in over 70 years.
Then Mexico's first left-wing president was elected in, and despite geopolitical turmoil, the economy actually still stays relatively steady and doesn't spike or dip, so that's good. And here we are today.
Some notable people of Mexico or of Mexican descent may include historical figures like Moctezuma and Cuauhtémoc and Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz, José María Morelos,
Josefa Oriste Domínguez, Emiliano Zapata,
Pancho Villa, athletes like
Oscar de la Hoya,
Rafa Márquez and Hugo Sánchez, soccer players,
singers like
Antonio Aguilar,
Jorge Negrete,
Pedro Infante,
Vicente Fernandez,
Luis Miguel,
Juan Gabriel. Oh, and if you ask any American Mexican, they all love Selena,
actors like
Dolores del Rio.
María Félix, Roberto Gómez Bolaños,
And even though she's not Mexican, Lupita Nyong'o was born in Mexico. And
She was born in Mexico. Wow.
You guys love her, right?
We do.
Yeah.
Diego Luna,
Eugenio Derbez,
Salma Hayek,
Gael Garcia Bernal. Of course, everybody knows Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera.
Alejandro González Iñárritu, Alfonso Cuarón, and Guillermo del Toro.
Nobel Prize winners Alfonso Garcia Robles
Octavio Paz.
and Mario Molina.
Some other notable people may include Carlos Canseco,
And Carlos Simhelu, whose entire net worth was about 7% of Mexico's GDP at one point. Yeah, he had a lot of
Wow.
business in other countries in Latin America and the world. And speaking of relations with other countries, so Mexico is quite the social butterfly. The monarch social butterfly from Michoacan. First of all, in Asia, the Philippines are another former Spanish colony, and they're kind of like the interesting random Asian cousin that shows up that you didn't realize you had. They generally get along, just not in boxing.
Japan was the first Asian country to come in contact with Latin America, and today they can travel visa-free. Japan has opened up factories in Mexico and was the first country to respond after the recent earthquake, and Mexico was the first to send aid after the recent tsunami.
In Latin America, most Mexicans might say the countries of the Pacific Alliance, Colombia, Chile, and Peru. These countries have not only had a tied history under Spanish rule and do great business with each other, but they also piggyback off of each other's cultures, and they love watching Mexican TV shows and movies. Mexicans love visiting these places. It's almost like they're just visiting extended family.
In regards to Spain, all the colonial animosity has died down, fortunately. We're cool now with Spanish people, and they love visiting Mexico.
Like we mentioned in the Canada episode, Mexicans have been flocking to Canada in recent years after the visa requirements were lifted.
And the Canadian government actually encourages immigration to help assist the workforce.
Now we reach the US.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I know, you've heard the headlines.
crazy.
It seems kind of complicated, but if we look at
I
the
didn't know a lot of Mexicans was transporting over to Canada. I didn't know that.
the overall scope of diplomacy, despite any political hindrances, the US and Mexico always seem to have an unbreakable bond that still survives.
The US has somewhere around 11 million Mexicans living in it today, which makes up the largest migrant group out of all immigrants. About 80% of Mexico's exports go to the US, and the US makes up about half of Mexico's imports.
They cooperate very closely in international affairs, usually backing up similar Western values that the US stands by, and overall, no matter how crazy things get, they can't help but be there for each other in the end. In conclusion, Caesar, what do you think you would say about Mexico?
Well, it's almost as if the people of Mexico kind of laugh at the face of destruction. We have volcanoes, earthquakes, drama, but we colorfully play and dance with death. It doesn't bother us. If anything, ironically, it fuels us with even more life.
Very well said. Stay tuned. Micronesia, the Federated States of Micronesia, is coming up next.
Viva Mexico!
It's your boy Surf Boy, man. Make sure y'all like up. Make sure y'all subscribe up. Make sure y'all hit that notification bell, man. Join notification life, man. And let's take this stuff to a whole nother level, man. It's your boy Surf Boy, man. Thank you guys for watching this video. I appreciate you guys. You guys have a beautiful day and you guys have a beautiful night. It's your boy Surf, and I am out of here.